Hello again, I am Blunty, doing the thing that most of your video game related sort of YouTubers are probably doing right now as well, because we're all very excited. It's the first Nintendo Direct we've had in forever, it feels like. We're at that time of the year where we're kind of starved for interesting video game news. There's only dribs and drabs happening at the moment. We've got Valheim, which is, a big sandboxy survival thing, which came out at just the right time. It's kind of a hole in video game releases right now, perfect for that thing to sit in, probably contributing why it's doing so well. But as far as Nintendo stuff goes, we're still waiting for the good stuff. Next thing on my horizon is Monster Hunter Rise. And we've got some Monster Hunter Rise stuff in this Nintendo Direct, but we'll roll back to that. Mostly this was But there are 5 things I want to tell you that I'm excited about, because people are going to ask. People always ask. When it's Nintendo Direct, they say, Blunty, what did you find that was exciting? So this is what this video was for. So when people ask me, I can just point to this video. I'm also going to ask you, what are you most excited about? Not necessarily your top 5, top 1. Top 1 in your most excited thing in the down below area. Let's get a finger on the pulse of the gaming community as far as my viewers are concerned. Anyway, about what you're excited about for Nintendo Switch. We started out with Smash. I'm not very interested in Smash, but I hear tell it's a popular game that a lot of people are excited about. So hopefully that was exciting news for you. There was the Famicom Detective Club, which is something so obscure I forgot it existed. I was aware of it vaguely. I must have read an article about it sometime back in the old days, probably on shiny paper in what we used to call a magazine, which was, I don't know whether you kids know what a magazine is. It's like a website, but on a big stack of paper. You had to go to a separate place called a news agency, and you bought this book. Basically, it's a book. You remember what books are? No, not ebooks, just the stack of paper ones. They're all glued together down one end. Flip through them. Back in the day when I was being serenaded surely by the wonderful melody of a dial-up modem, I remember this game. It never came out in the West, but I remember it. Kind of a visual novel style detective thing. Don't know whether I'm going to be interested in it, but caught me by surprise, so that was nice. Then we got Capcom Arcade Stadium, which I am relatively excited for. It's not one of my top 5 that I'm going to list off here, but I do want to acknowledge it because there are some gems in Capcom's arcade past, not least of which is 1942, one of my favorite top-down scroller bullet hell shooters, and I played so much of that when I built my own arcade machine way back in the day. That was one of the games I kept going back to and back to. I'm not very good at it, so I'll probably never stream it, for example, and show you people how bad I am at it, but it was fun, and I liked it, and Capcom's arcade history is full of that sort of stuff. And I'm excited for this because these are their arcade games, not Switch ports or Virtual Console ports of their old console ports of their old arcade games, but these are the arcade games. And there can be a significant difference between the home console ports of an arcade game and arcade game. So sort of skipping that middle step and getting it to the Switch is pretty exciting as far as I'm concerned. Now, as for the 5 things I am most excited about from the presentation today, first of which, more information about Monster Hunter Rise. We've got our first glimpse into the sort of horde mode rush. Wasn't horde mode, was it? They called it something different. My brain's gone blank, but having to fight a whole bunch of monsters all at the same time as they rush through the gates, probably going to be a very fun multiplayer thing as well. But I'm super jazzed about Monster Hunter Rise. So any scrap of information I'm hungry for right now. So I'm going to go back to my favorite Monster Hunter specialist YouTubers. I'll probably link a few on the down below there. One of them called me out in one of their videos the other day about the video I made about the M Classic thing when I was talking about Monster Hunter Rise the other day. So I'll definitely link them in the down below as a sort of thank you back for that, for sending a few views my way. I'll send some views back, but they are excellent Monster Hunter content creators that you should check out if you're interested in the game, because they know way more about the game than I do. But we did get a reveal of several more monsters that we didn't know about before. We got, again, a peek at this new mode, this new game type that's going to be in it. And we got a sort of a bit of a peek about some of the new locations and stuff. Again, I'm going to refer you to the Monster Hunter experts, linked in the down below, because they'll be able to break it down in far more detail than I will. But it was very exciting. I was glued to the screen for that. Next up, number 2. And these are in no particular order. They're probably in the order I noted them down in on my little list here, so probably the order they were presented in. Next one I've got is Mario Golf. I'm not a big fan of golf in general, like the real world sport. I find it tedious and boring, and the kind of people that play it tend to be tedious and boring. Tiger Woods aside, I guess. He was, and Happy Gilmore. It's the anniversary of the Happy Gilmore movie yesterday. Adam Sandler uploaded a video to social media of him just whoosh, clubbing that thing. But as far as video game golf games go, there have been a few in my entirety, my decades-long history of video games. Lynx 98, I think, was the first one I ever played back on my PC. Windows 3.1, DOS 5.2 days or something, I think it was. Trying to remember exactly the numbers. Something like that. Anyway, DOS 5 something in Windows 3.1 and Lynx 98. I don't remember how I got it. Might have been a gift. I wouldn't have bought it for myself. But I spent quite a long time playing that game. And I wasn't interested in golf at all. But something about golf as a video game is kind of enchanting. So mixing that with the wacky arcadiness of Mario Golf, where they've got a traditional golf game, they've got sort of a golf game where everyone plays at once and you have to run down the course. I nearly said pitch, the golf pitch. Told you I know nothing about golf. But yeah, that seems like it's going to be a ton of fun. I've only dipped my toe into Mario Golf before in the past, but when I have played, I went, oh yeah, that's pretty good, but I've never actually bought a game for myself. This one, I think I will. This one seems like it's going to be a bunch of fun. Number 3 on the list, and this one caught me utterly by surprise. They're bringing back Mytopia. They're rebirthing Mytopia. And Mytopia, for those who never owned a 3DS, was it 3DS or was it DS? How far back does I think it was just 3DS, wasn't it? I forget which machine it came. Anyway, the old portables. It was just this mini game style dungeon crawler, weird. I don't even know how to describe it. But it was remarkably compelling for no particular reason. It was just one of those Nintendo magic things where on the surface, if you try to describe it to someone, they'd think, huh? What? What? But when you just start fiddling with it and playing around with it, it's surprisingly compelling. And it's just that Nintendo charm that's built into it. So I'm ecstatic to see that come back and be rebirthed and be expanded upon and grown upon on the Switch. I suspect that will be a lovely game to just have it ticking on in the background. You're not going to stick with it for, 8 hours a day, every day for things like that. It's not that type of game, but you will drop back into it probably, 2-3 times a day, at least for the first few months or something. And it'll be one of those background ticky games that I quite like to have going on. And number 5 is one of the most exciting game releases we've seen since that Avengers game from Square Enix. It's the DC Superhero Girls. It looks, I'm only joking, it looks awful. From the glimpses of gameplay we saw, it looks horrible. So let's move on to my actual number 5, and it is Legend of Zelda Skyward. Sorry, I just had to double check real quick because I'm using a green screen right now, and if I get this to reflect the wrong way, it's going to disappear on camera. I'll hold it down here. Oh, here. Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. I have never ever played this game. I own a copy, on a 25th anniversary copy right here, and inside there's the anniversary Symphony is the word I'm looking for. Symphony. What's happening to my brain? But yeah, the anniversary special orchestral music CD, and underneath there the game that's never been out of its box. Never, ever been out of its box. I haven't even... Look, this is the first time I've ever done this. It's not collectible anymore. But that was sent to me years and years ago by Nintendo, back when they did send me review stuff. And I just wasn't interested in Zelda at the time. It wasn't until Breath of the Wild that I found an abiding, deep affection for that. Sorry, one of my lights just went out for no reason. Okay, that'll teach me to use battery-operated lights without checking they're charged. So the rest of this video might be a bit weird as far as the green screen goes, because there'll be a little bit of reflected green on the back of my head there. That was my, that was the light that was supposed to get rid of that. But aside from never really being interested in Zelda, the other reason I didn't play this is because it just had waggle mechanics. And that was one of my absolutely least favorite things about the Nintendo Wii. Enforced waggle mechanics. There was, as far as I remember, no other way to play this game. There was no standard control scheme. You used the waggle mechanics or you didn't play it at all. And the waggle mechanics just didn't interest me. In fact, they turned me off. There were very few games on the Wii that I chose to use the waggle mechanics with if they were optional. And a lot of games I chose not to play because the only way to play them was the waggle mechanics. And that just, it wasn't a fun way to video game as far as I was concerned. Maybe I'm too old school. I don't know. But with the Switch version, they have the waggle mechanics, which should, in theory, work better because the motion controls in the new controllers are a little bit more, they have a bit better fidelity, but they also have a traditional control scheme as well. I can use with a normal controller and not have to worry about waggle mechanics at all. Speaking of waggle mechanics, let's roll back to Mario Golf. They do have waggle mechanics in that, and I am going to use that. Probably not all of the time, but Like with Wii Bowling and stuff like that, there's something just engaging about that simple act. But the golf swing is a lot different than a sword and shield kind of action in this type of game. So I draw the line there. I'm not against all WAGA mechanics or all motion gaming. Motion aiming, Breath of the Wild, for example, with the bow and arrow, that worked brilliantly. Brilliantly. But yeah, never wanted to play the WAGA mechanics waggling my sword around for this. So I'm excited. I probably definitely, absolutely will probably maybe give Skyward Sword a go with the traditional controls. I'll try the waggle, but I'm not expecting to like it. So, there you have it. My opinion on what I am most excited about from today's Nintendo Direct. As I invited you to do at the beginning of this video, please leave your opinion on what you're most excited about in the down below area. Top of my list, at least in the very near future at least, is Monster Hunter Rise. I cannot wait to play that game. I was hoping to get an announcement of a second demo today, because apparently, as I've been learning more and more about the history of Monster Hunter, looking forward to this game, there's almost always been two demos. There's one demo with some standard early game to mid-game monsters, which is what we got. And then there's usually apparently a follow-up demo, which has a harder boss monster. One of the end game monsters. So I was kind of expecting the announcement of a second Monster Hunter Rise demo, or an additional download for the existing demo code we've got that just added another harder monster. Maybe we'll still get that closer to release. Maybe not, but I was a bit disappointed that that didn't happen today. That would have been my one and only prediction, a second Monster Hunter Rise demo for today, but it didn't happen, so I'm glad I didn't publicly announce my prediction, because I would have been wrong. And I'm never wrong. Almost never wrong. Thank you, as always, to the patrons scrolling up above there, and hopefully you found this video vaguely interesting. Just me waffling about being excited about video games, basically. Excuse me, I got a message. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. I am Blunty. That's not important.